voice meter Val. Yep. Alright, so over here, I'm going to set you to... Whoops. I'm going to set you, Streamlabs, to listen on voice meter Val. And I'm going to unmute you. Alright, so can someone in this channel say something to make sure I got this configured right?
Hello, hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
Alright, fantastic. Yes, I am picking up that audio, so right now, anyone in here is able to chat. Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys, for helping me out. Alright, so with that confirmation on the audio, and who is there? Hello, everyone. It is your favorite DeFi Degen Doge. We are here for the Yearn Evolved, or YEVO, launch. It has not gone live yet. We have a countdown timer here for when it does launch, so to be clear, to be very, very clear, this is a pre-launch review of the code. The audit does not begin until we get a contract address with the launch. The developer has so graciously agreed to launch at say-so, so we got time. I'm really going to be trying to hit that deadline so I don't disappoint people, but I really appreciate the patience and everything in trying to get through this. So I'm gonna let me get my tool set up for the blockchain analysis and decompile when that's coming through. Oh, pardon here. I'm a giant fucking nerd and lore junkie. I love these guys, Black Pants Legion. They're fun and hilarious, but I will have to get back to my nerdery with fucking sci-fi lore later. Alright, so I need Etherscan open. No. Yep, there we are. I need Etherscan open, and let's go ahead and go with ETHPLOR 2. Not sure I'll need you, but what the hell else? Alright, now, pardon everyone, this has been a bit of a haphazard preparation, so I appreciate everyone's patience as we get set up and get going. I'm also totally open and welcome to having devs come and help out. If you know any other devs out there that would like to contribute over in the Wolfpack Discord, which these guys will be happy to drop links and invites to help you out there and get you in. If you have any sort of coding knowledge, you can work through computer logic or anything, you are more than welcome to come help out. We've got a auditor war room over there, and for people to work and chat in. If you drop into the dev chat and holler at the guys there that you're a dev, then they'll get you the auditor role. You can come over to the auditor war room. That is where work is happening. That is, if you don't want to talk, you don't want to be on the stream, that's perfectly fine. You can chat in there. There is an auditor war room voice comm there that obviously I cannot be in both at the same time, but you guys can talk amongst yourselves there. No one else will be able to talk in there except folks with the auditor role, so you guys can work in peace. If you don't want people listening in, I would appreciate the open of transparency, but I can understand being shy, so you can have people adjust that so other people can't join if they're not an auditor. But yeah, by all means, anyone you know, anyone that is out there that might want to learn some development work, yep, if you drop into the Wolfpack dev chat, let them know that you're a dev and would like to help with the audit, then they'll get you the role. You can drop in on the auditor war room chat. For right now, because at this last minute I didn't get a lot of confirmations, I'm going to leave it that auditor war room voice chat is for anyone that's helping out, can talk amongst themselves. I have the auditor war room chat open and observing that off screen here on another monitor, so you guys can talk amongst yourselves privately. But I would like to keep it as transparent as possible so other people can have that conversation, because I want to make it very clear that if we identify a scam, everyone knows we identified the scam at the same time, alright? Everyone gets to see, because that's an important point. I've been having difficult conversations with some folks while I'm working on Auditor DAO, or Audit DAO, as to responsible disclosure, and I've got radical ideas on responsible disclosure around security vulnerabilities when it comes to the fact that we're dealing with an immutable database. Once the code has been deployed, it cannot be altered. You can decorate it with extra functionality. You can make use of governance techniques to be able to make small modifications, and you can use nice, in the decoration, things like proxies and such to try to augment and build that out. But I'm going to take a very hard stance here that we need to understand as a community that the blockchain is the word of God as far as we are concerned. It is written in stone tablets. There is no way. The whole point of the blockchain is that there is no way to alter it. Period. It cannot be done. You can make modifications, as in you can update or add new entries to the ledger, but what is there, and it cannot be altered other than changing variables. So whatever logic is in there, can't change that. We can decorate it, we can augment it, we can add extra functionality, but technically the logic that is written in stone, effectively, in the blockchain, cannot actually be altered. Now, I know some of the folks that I've talked to elsewhere, they've said, well, but wait, you've got ways to update and modify things. I understand there are techniques to improve this, but to draw that line here, cool. Thank you for coming in and joining. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages from other devs that I've been talking to that are interested in helping, but this is all very somewhat short notice, and so they got busy lives, by all means. So I appreciate anyone coming and helping. Otherwise, like I said, this is the case where we need to understand, and for anyone out there that I've been having these conversations with, I respect you. You're intelligent people. You obviously know what the fuck you're talking about and working with things, but to be clear, all statements from numerous people, so if you think I'm talking about you, it's not just you. I've been having this conversation with a lot of people, but all the conversations about, well, but they can do updates. No, they can't. They cannot do updates. They can use the written in stone functions that are there to execute. They can use that to update variables in the contract so they can store information, but they cannot actually change the logic, the code that is there. If they write it properly, like Curve kind of did, but as YF Beta did in the preview of their code, where they've made things somewhat abstracted and interlocked and able to relate to each other, and therefore you can add on to it as time goes by, that is called decoration. That is not called update. An update means that you're changing the existing code that is there. We cannot change the existing code. We can use what's called the decorator design pattern, and we can add extra functionality if it's written and designed properly in the first place. So, clear here. For the questions that I've gotten from numerous people, and no, I know you guys might be thinking I'm talking about you. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm just making my statement here in as transparent and open way as possible, is that because we are dealing with an immutable database that we can only record the delta of changes on, and we cannot actually alter its records. We cannot alter what is actually there. We can just provide that delta for the change, which is what goes into the blockchain. We cannot update the code. And so any question, for anyone that's hesitant on this, that's worried about what's going on, for all the questions that have gotten all over the place of what the fuck are you doing, what about responsible disclosure, why aren't you giving time for the devs to update and fix things? I'm sorry, but your window of responsible disclosure, you slammed that shut when you deployed code to the immutable database. If you wanted responsible disclosure, you should have double-checked your code, you should have gotten the preview, and then you should have gone through that post-launch audit. But I'm sorry, because we don't have a secure deployment mechanism by which we can validate that the code that is in GitHub is what's actually been deployed in a way that the community knows about and understands. I understand the big auditing firms out there have their various tools and methods for doing that, and you're beautiful, you're lovely, I want to support your work, but right now it's very early, and I see that problem is that we've created a trust no one central bank effectively in the ledger that will obey the law as written in code and cannot violate that or pull any shenanigans, we have to respect that. And now that everyone is focusing on these private audits that are done in private, I understand where you're coming from. That is how things have been done in the past. I get it. You're inheriting a lot of stuff from traditional financial development, and it makes sense. We need to make the old finance boomers feel safe. But all of that goes out the window when we're dealing with an immutable database. Because they cannot actually update the code, any chance for responsible disclosure went out the window the second they deploy. So that's why I'm here for YEVO. This YEVO guy, he has been absolutely fantastic. Forthright, honest, it took a little bit to get his attention, but he's very, very busy with launch, so I understand him, not being able to give me his undivided attention until I needed it right before launch. He was answering all of his questions, made it very clear what was going on, and he has agreed that we'll go through the audit, that we will have a essentially say on whether or not this goes live. So I am taking this with an incredible responsibility that this dev is essentially putting their project in my hands. And that's why I have been sending out the call to anyone else that wants to come help. Because this is an incredible responsibility, and I want to make sure that I don't fuck it up. Alright? So, with that, we can dig into the audit, or the review, I should say. Again, technically not an audit. We can't do an audit till the contract's live. And I understand the dev not wanting to go live just yet until we review, and they're fantastic. They're awesome. Yep. Oh, Alright, so if people could go over to his Telegram, and just tell him where we are over here. I would like to be considerate, but Telegram is goddamn cancer. People need to stop using Telegram. It is not for large communities. Jesus Christ. Single-threaded discussions? No. I just fuck Telegram. I know you all think that it's beautiful because supposedly it's got good encryption. It doesn't. I'm sorry. We're developers. We're crypto guys, for God's sakes. Why the fuck aren't people on Status? Go look up Status, go look up Signal, and fuck Telegram. You don't have the private keys, therefore you don't know if it's actually secure. Alright? Same thing with WhatsApp, same thing with anything. We do goddamn crypto, people, for fuck's sake. We know how this works. If you don't own the keys, you don't own the data. Period. So fuck Telegram, all due respect to people. I understand why you're there, other people are over there, I get it, it's what you have to work with sometimes, whatever. But fuck Telegram. Get on goddamn Status. Discord's not even good, I'm not even thrilled about being on Discord, for fuck's sake. I want us to get a goddamn Element server where everyone can have their own keys, all the communication can be end-to-end encrypted, and off it goes. So I'm sorry that folks want to dicker about some other people being there. Like, I'm sorry that some of you kids may not get along with each other. Cope. There's work to do. There is fucking work to do. Alright, I'll fucking slap him if he gets out of line. Alright. So I gotta tell some people that I fucking, like... Alright, sorry there, my little point. I have to put out a little fire for folks that are like, someone I don't like is involved. I don't give a shit, it's fucking business. You leave your personal crap at the door, and you fucking work. And if you can't do that, you're out. I don't need you. There's enough people out there that I can get more talent. I love you. You're beautiful. We'll still hit a barbecue, drink beers, all that shit. You're magnificent. But grow the fuck up and do some fucking work. because I will slap anyone fucking around on any of my goddamn projects if they don't. That goes both ways. So if you're worried about somebody else pulling some shenanigans, whatever. Alright, sorry, my little drama there. Fucking goddamn drama queens. I love you some guys, but grow up, alright? Now, and pardon my battlefield attitude. Alright, so, into the fucking code with my little preach there. Sorry, had to clear some points as to people wondering, like, why the fuck aren't you just doing your audits off GitHub? Fuck GitHub, we can't trust it. Why aren't you taking time with responsible disclosure on your I don't fucking care. They wrote it to an immutable database. It now needs to be reviewed. Sorry, this is now a live warhead out on the battlefield. We're defusing a fucking time bomb here, people. Alright? We're not dickering around with a central bank that can send the state to shoot us, alright? The code is law. The blockchain is God. So, with that out of the way, what are we dealing with here? Wow. This is interesting. There's a lot of ways to be able to write code for the Ethereum VM. A lot of different stuff will technically work. That's kind of why it gets a little complicated from going through things. This is different than the stuff we've looked at before. This is not making any use of existing libraries. This does not seem to be making use of anything like OpenZeppelin. There's no safe ERC here. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's interesting. And that does mean this will take a bit of time because now I can't just glance at what's being imported and know, oh, you're using OpenZeppelin, great. I can trust OpenZeppelin, I know them, and we can continue on. So, cool. So that means we're going to have to go through every single fucking excruciating line of code of this. I am not going to be able to leave a single thing unturned. So, we've got some storage. The structure in the storage, and Dev, I got your, I have this open. Or you can join the Discord, and you can sit in the dev chat. We would happily welcome you over there. So yeah, if you want to respond to me on Telegram, because that's what you've got, by all means, I'll take it. But I'm sorry, I can't deal with a single channel thread communication like Telegram has for keeping track of this, so cope. Alright? Yes, dog talks like human. That's because that's the wonder of nootropics. If you look at the wonder of nootropics and some nice meditation techniques that can put you in touch with fifth dimensional consciousness, then you too can be a talking dog. So, with that, we've got basically what looks like wholly written from scratch code. So, kudos to the dev for being ballsy. I mean, not many people are doing this. Not many people are writing the entire thing from scratch on their own. Wow. This is all original code. That's an impressive lot of work, I gotta say. Like, there's a lot going on here. So this is going to take a bit of work, and the fact that it's all of these nested if-else statements, I'll get into, for the people who aren't coding, I'll get into what all of this fucking looking insanity looks like. It may look like goddamn craziness. It does actually make sense, and I'll get into that. Interestingly enough, though, this does actually kind of make it easier to audit, because in the more, basically the developer has followed what is more akin to a functional development strategy. So again, I'm happy to have the dev over in the dev chat if they would like to join in and comment on things, if they would like to correct any of my misunderstandings or clarify anything. I am taking this with the due understanding of responsibility and like the serious honor that it is that I'm being given this responsibility and folks are trusting me with it, hence why I want to share that. But that's also why in doing that I want to give you the chance that if I seem to make a mistake, I want to be very, very conservative in giving my assessment. I don't want to give a misimpression that something is wrong if there isn't. So I definitely welcome the dev. to offer up any sort of corrections, insights. If I seem to be getting something slightly wrong, by all means. But this does mean that since this is following more of a functional programming style as opposed to an object-oriented programming style like we've seen in the previous contracts we're looking at, this is going to be a bit of a different audit. For one, as you can see, I'll be able to just kind of go through things bit by bit. Like, there's no other objects I need to refer to. There's the closest we've got is a defined data structure here that is going to be holding stores, token address, wallet address, excuse me, a rate, a Y raised, or yeah, we raised, could we, Ethereum, why do you have to pick the names like this? I swear to God. Opening time, closing time, finalized, goal, store, all of these. So we've got, basically looks like storage for addresses that is in here. I'll have to work into exactly what store 0 is, but that's going to be holding a number. We've got a rate that's a number. We've got we raised. We've got opening, closing time. So these are likely going to be a timestamp, basically, that we're probably going to be checking against. I do find it very interesting how this is coded out, so it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. By all means, if folks could take the chance to let the dev know, I don't know if they're paying attention, I don't know if they have the stream, if you could go help them out in the Telegram, make sure they have the link, and just if you could politely make sure that they know that I do have the Telegram DM chat with them open. If there is anything they would like to say to me privately, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm not going to tell the entire fucking world. You got to take your crapshoot, but then again, you're the one deciding to write code to an immutable database in the hopes of making $1 billion. So you got balls, and you're doing it without any object-oriented programming. You're doing it without reusing any code, and all from scratch. So I gotta say, like I said, you're ballsy, man. You got fucking cojones of, like, molybdenum. Jesus. I mean, there are professionals that have had more experience in this than you, I think, that would not do this because they wouldn't be willing to take the risk. Like, you are really putting it all on the line here. So I want to give props there. Alright, so going in here, we've got basic operations. So earlier we've seen things like function that we saw earlier. That's not always necessarily the case. That is one way of writing it. So we've got our definition where this is just going to report the rate that is going to be stored up here. And that's basically what these are. These are simply ways to get information about what is in the contract, what information is maintaining for us. I really at some point need to get that video together explaining how the blockchain works and why technically you don't have your tokens. The contract has your tokens. You have a key that lets you update the balance that the contract is maintaining for you. But because technically the contract is now acting as a central bank, that is why these audits are so critical, because there are problems in the Ethereum VM, unfortunately. I really wish I could have been involved in the design, because I could have pointed out some stuff, but whatever. They didn't see fit to talk to me, partly because I was busy over in Trad Finance giving them security shit and making sure that the SEC is happy. So I would have put in things like, you don't get to write these fucking messages, you don't get to update balances like that, you gotta tell the VM to do that. But whatever. Here we are, this is what we have to live with, and it's the best we fucking got until things get fixed. So, with that, all of these various methods here where they're just doing the return, this is it just reporting back information about itself. So, essentially, since these are looking that there's no control or governance on them, yeah, it looks like basically anyone can call these. So, depending on what the ABI defines for defining the interface for interacting with this, It looks like there's a lot of information we can get out about the contract in a safe way. That's what I want to be clear here when we're seeing this stuff. This is the good, safe way to provide access to this information. In development, we call these getters, or accessors, if you want to be proper about the terminology. So, anyway. Oh, am I getting other messages? Yeah, you'll fucking cope, buddy. Alright? I love you, but you'll learn to fucking cope. Right. So yes, thank you for correcting me on the putting the Discord note in there. Sorry.
Your audio cut out.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just, Alright, cope. Alright, cool. I have, apparently... Well, dude, I didn't call you, I didn't say your name. Alright, we'll have our little spat later. Then we'll hug and make up. Sorry, I caused a little drama, and I gotta fix that. Alright, moving back to this. So yeah, this is good stuff. This is exactly how it should be working. We've got these various returns, and... Alright, good, thank you. I respect you for getting me the audit. Beautiful. Alright, so, you're awesome. I do love you like a brother. Now, moving on. Hopefully we'll build you magnificent things together. So yeah, these are all good. These are accessors. This is exactly what they should be doing. This is reporting the balance of things. This owner is merely the argument that they're going to be using. So in this case, interestingly, it looks like anyone will be able to query this thing and ask what the balance of an address is. It's kind of interesting that they're not making their calls through message sender. So that's something that we're going to have to watch out for here. So I'm not saying it's a big problem. It's really not a problem that anyone could call balance of and get the balance of whatever this, they have with this token. That's the blockchain, So, sweet. Thank you very much for letting me know that I got your attention. You're beautiful. So, yes, Elliot Stanford, I appreciate that. Thank you for giving me your attention, and thank you for being willing to chime in and confirming that you are there. You're magnificent. I really want to respect the work you're doing here and your attempts to make this forthright. So, I want to hit your window, so we got 30 fucking minutes. I appreciate that you're willing to delay as I go through it. So yeah, again, not a big vulnerability here. The owner is referring to merely the variable here, so that's not an owner of the contract like we've seen in other places, so don't mind that. This is actually a check where it's confirming that, yes, the information that we're getting in is the proper structure, that somebody didn't send us absolute fucking garbage. So that's a nice safety measure. Good job there. And then all it's doing is returning that balance. So I want to highlight that one there because that's the first one we came across that has that argument. This will report the owner. Again, there is always an owner for these contracts. That's how these things go. When you deploy a contract, you are the owner. That's just how the protocol works. Finalized. Looks like this is, just going to be telling you whether or not this thing has been finalized. That's it. Opening time, it'll report that. That'll probably be a date timestamp. Alright. And, sorry, I gotta get back to my audit war room chat. So again, anyone else who wants to join in, guys, you can help me out. Keep a call on folks in dev chat if they say they can help. Give them the audit role, send them over to the audit war room. Make sure they have a link to the GitHub. I'll go ahead and drop that in the auditor war room if anyone wants to join. What, do you guys not have any fucking cojones as far as coming in and auditing? Like, I'm not even asking you to get on camera here. I just want you to look at some fucking code and tell me what you goddamn think. Really? Alright. I'm on my own here. I understand there are some stragglers that they got business, so maybe some folks will roll in later on when we get to the actual audit. But for the review here, cool. At least for auditors, yes. Any auditor, do it in the auditor war room. That's the one that I have open. That's the one I'm monitoring. I'm leaving the rest of the wolf pack to handle various questions and whatnot. Thank you very much for taking care of that. You guys are fantastic. And as far as I can tell, you're trustworthy, forthright guys that just want a fair market for people to play in. You'd rather fight with money than actually fuck people over. And fight in that friendly wrestling sort of way, you know? Awesome. So, with that, all of these seem to be good, basic methods. Now we're down to the regular functions. This is stuff that you expect to find anywhere in there. This is confirming whether or not somebody is an owner. Okay. They're using the caller here. The caller is this version of message sender, basically. Where this is essentially when the transaction comes in from the Ethereum VM, it will basically plug that in. It's a little complicated what's going on there. Essentially, if you're curious to read about it for any prospective devs that are interested, it's kind of like context dependency injection in the sense that the environment for the code to run in is being pre-populated with information provided by the user, you guys, when you do a transaction, through that transaction. Again, I should probably get to a video later on describing all that. I just want to highlight that here is, this is normal, this is good stuff. We have a way to renounce ownership. Fantastic. This is magnificent. So we do have a method here where the dev can rescind ownership, and in doing that, for one, they're going to make sure that if the owner is not the caller, so to be clear, there's not an argument in this, which is helpful. That actually ends up being slightly better and more defensive code, because by not providing a way for the user to present that information, and instead pulling that from the environment as injected by the VM when the miner is running this, I really need to do a deep dive on the tech of how this functions. So, like, anyone out there that knows this stuff in depth and would like to help a fucking animated Doge online that is a little goddamn crazy and acting weird to explain to these traders how the tech actually works, I'd appreciate that at some point, because I think it'd be incredibly useful for everyone to know how this stuff functions. And yes, alone animated doges. Alright, I want you to know, man, like, that's how important you are. You're the only one that I'm flipping from the auditor forum to go see what you have to say, okay? Like, that's it. Alright, so, and you know who you are, because you're the one listening, you're the one paying attention, you're the one that's pinging me, and I'm sure you're going to be telling me to audit now, so I'm going to stop paying attention. Alright, so, sorry, like, good friend of mine, great guy, bit of an asshole like we all are. Alright, so this is good. He's got a way to renounce ownership. Sorry, I got too much fucking shit going on. So we've got a way to renounce ownership. That's being done in a safe way because he's checking to see, alright, first off, if the owner's not the caller, then saying, okay, fuck you. Revert with 0 would be basically sending back what it would be effectively akin to an unsuccessful exit code, a way for the program to tell anyone after it's done, essentially be able to report back to you and be able to report out to the world that, yeah, this didn't work. We tried something and it didn't work. So exit code 0. And so that's basically what's happening here. It's like, look, if you try to renounce ownership and you're not the owner, fuck you. If you do want to renounce ownership, and so then we'll continue on. Like, alright, so that's not the case, and we'll move on. If it does turn out that you are actually the owner, and to be clear, we're not trusting you to tell us that. We're going to go look that up ourselves. We're going to, and this is why I like this dev, what it's doing. They're basically saying here is like, look, I don't give a fuck what you have to say. I am only going to trust what the Ethereum VM has to tell me about who's making this call. And I'm going to check that against what the Ethereum VM and part of the deployment established as the owner. And that would have been me, the deployer, the person who sent it out. So, awesome. That is a good, solid one there. There is a is open. So, oh my. Okay, so this is what I was asking about before. In this case, when I was going live, and maybe there's so many languages in the world, and I'm such a scatterbrained weirdo that maybe I wasn't clear. But this is where that check would be in place, because this is open, as I'm understanding it, is doing a check to see, okay, which block of the blockchain are we on? What time did that happen? If that is less than the opening time for when this contract is deployed, so technically there can be coded in a delay where this thing is deployed, and it looks like we're going to have to see how these opening and closing times, so keep an eye out there as to how they're being used in the code. But it looks like we have set up here that when this thing is deployed, it will be active, it will work, but there will be a time delay, I'm predicting, on that. And that is a variable time delay, in that in doing the deployment, they can set the opening time, and thus they'll be trying to predict how far out they want to delay this, and trying to predict that based on how quickly we're tearing through blocks and what the timestamp is. But because they're basing it on the block timestamp, the worst that's going to happen is this mismatches by a couple seconds, or yeah, actually just at most a couple seconds, usually just a few milliseconds, really. But technically, and this is something we have to understand in code, and this is something we're going to have a really hard time going forward explaining to courts, is that we can't have an entirely predictive process because of the way it's working. Because technically, this could come along, and doing this check, it could be, oh, the block that had the timestamp that I'm supposed to start on actually happened way, way, way back there, and so I'm supposed to be active. So that's kind of what's happening here. It's just that basic point of doing a check to see, okay, where we are on the blockchain. I'm going to do that based on time, but because we don't have a deterministic rate at which the blocks are being mined, effectively, I don't even like the term mined, really. I don't like that. They're being, crafted, almost. They're being forged. I actually prefer to think of them as forgers, but that starts bringing in a whole lot of connotations, so I don't know. You're the mechanical guy. Maybe you can tell me the appropriate term for people that are essentially hammering out stuff in immutable materials so it can never change. I don't know what they do that in mechanical engineering. You're the one that knows that. So, with that, it goes is open, renounce ownership, so that's solid. That's making an appropriate call there. It's going to be doing that by logging the ownership transferred, so that transaction hash is going to be out there. Also, since I called out one buddy of mine, Dr. Weird's the mechanical guy, I want to call out another good buddy of mine, Cypher, should be in the chat. He's a great operations guy that I'm hoping to bring on the audit DAO operations side. Guy knows more about storage and networking than I do, and almost anyone else that hasn't designed the fucking shit. So the guy's beautiful. If you need any operations work, please talk to Cypher. So just excuse his idiosyncrasies. We're all really weird over here, so I don't think that'll be a problem. Same with weird. Just excuse everyone's idiosyncrasies, really. I mean, the world's hard enough as it is, isn't it? Alright, so we got a renounce ownership. We do have a transfer ownership, so technically there is a way to transfer ownership to something else. This is also fine. So not a giant problem, but just kind of calling out what could be a potential risk, where it is accepting an argument for a new owner. It's confirming that the person calling this is already the owner, so only the owner will be able to do this. And in doing that, the new owner, they're going to be establishing that in this case, if they can handle that, I believe, with the revert to say, yeah, just going to set that to 0. So basically, yeah, if the new owner doesn't work out here, or the new owner is not a viable address, then it looks like this thing's going to transfer its ownership to address 0. So essentially, it's going to do the basic check of, all right, you're trying to transfer ownership. Are you the one who originally owned this? Yay, nay. And if that happens, it's going to be doing that check on the new owner. And from what I'm understanding here, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the intent here is that if the new owner is not a viable address and we cannot transfer ownership to it, then, and this is not going to function properly, then we want to revert ownership to address 0. So basically, if this gets called, and it can only be called by the owner, so the dev is the only one that can call this, if this gets called and they don't pass in an owner, a new owner to transfer this to, then it just reverts to 0, the protocol. This means the Ethereum blockchain will own this. If that does work fine, if there is an owner actually entered in, then it will first log the ownership. Kudos. I love people that log their events before they do the event. Thank you. Thank you. I wish we had a about to happen way to describe that here, to like this is about to happen, as we do typically in debug or trace logging. But we're working with what we have, and unfortunately we don't have log levels in this thing. So, moving on. With this, we've got a... So I like this transfer ownership. This is a safe one. Does run the risk that if they don't send in an address, it goes to 0. So if you guys work out that the ownership should actually go to some governance body, if it should be like added on with additional contracts after this that would somehow have control over this and be the owner, then by all means that can be done. But to be clear here, we don't even know if the owner can do anything, what else the owner can do. So we'll find out if this is even worthwhile. So moving down, claim refund. This looks like you're sending in a token. Again, all of this require call data.size. This is just doing a basic check to see, did you give me garbage? If you gave me garbage, I don't want to worry about that. Alright? I just don't want to deal with you. Go away. And it's also good to have it at the top here, because that can error out quickly. This would also be an indication, folks, when you're trying to execute a transaction. If you see that, like, crazy high gas fee, that's an indication that there's an error in what you're doing. Either an error in the code or an error in what you're trying to do. Because what errors can be very costly. They're a giant waste of the miner's time. And when you're executing a transaction, it's attempting to kind of sort of predict roughly what's going to happen. It can't know entirely, but it's using that to try to predict. And again, I'm being very simplistic for the guys there that know code and understand the details and are like, oh my god, you're not getting the details. I'm not trying to, alright? We're trying to explain to some layman here to give them some peace of mind. But that's that point of it's nice that we've got this safety check in here. It's nice that we've got these additional checks to send that out, but that's where if you're trying to execute a transaction, you see that crazy high transaction fee, that indicates that something's gone wrong. Either the contract has a bug, or what you're trying to do is an error. Like, if you've ever seen that case of you try to, like, transfer tokens you don't have on Uniswap or something, and it goes like, way high transaction fee. That's basically it accounting for this, to say, okay, you're about to waste everyone's goddamn time by giving us garbage and expecting the miners to process garbage. And errors are costly, and so the system kind of accounts for that by jacking up the transaction fee to say, okay, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to turn out. It looks like it's going to blow up on us. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? So, alright, cool. Claim refund does the check. In here is checking that if it's not finalized. So in this case, it's establishing that it is still refundable. So to be clear here, in the claim refund, there is a check to see whether or not it's finalized. So if this not in front of it is inverting the logic, so basically if it says, yes, it has been finalized, so this is true, then putting the not flips that around. So it says false. And so that means that if it has been finalized, then this will flip to false or evaluate to false, and therefore this will not evaluate. If the finalized is false, then the not will reverse that and make that true, which will then make this line of code work here, which is why it's got, that's what we're seeing here is it's got this revert with, and it's just like, all right, fuck that shit. We're not doing that. We're just going to roll this back and act like nothing happened. And we're going to produce the error message. Yeah, sorry, refundable crowd sale not finalized, to let you know. Now, if way raised, way is usually referring to the tiny parts of Ether. We say Ethereum, we say ETH. We got one ETH, but technically as you start breaking it down, that's what this way thing kind of comes from. Again, I'm being super simplistic, so pardon me, developers that are reading that I'm not getting into. I'm sure I hear you out there. I apologize, I'm not paying terrible attention. I'm leaving Wolfpack to help out with this and help manage some of the community, so I appreciate you there. Bring to my attention if there's any giant fucking questions we need to get into. So, continuing on. We've got, if way raised is greater than or equal to goal, then it says that the goal has been reached. Cool. So we're going to get that message back out, and we're going to be able to know that the goal has been reached. So it looks like this thing does have, an intent to reach a goal of some sort. We've got a require exit code size store 9. Oh, this is why I hate functional code. I'm not knocking you, I just hate functional code because it's like this. So, what is at store 9? Store 9 is an address. For what? Alright, we'll figure that out. That's where we're gonna go. There's another point, as I would say, is like, I would have liked comments, but I guess I understand, okay? Just would have been helpful for audits and things to get some logic here. So, yeah, apparently there's going to be a address in store 9. We'll have to figure out where that's coming from and what's setting that address in store 9 as we go along. Can I audit YF Alpha? I am definitely taking requests. Funnel any request for anything else through the Wolfpack. They have been so gracious and kind in offering up to do the initial triage of stuff that is obvious fucking scams and doesn't need us to look at code. They're also willing to take on that responsibility of explaining to everyone that we can't do an audit until the code is live on the blockchain. So again, this is a review, not an audit. As soon as we launch this thing, I gotta still go and double check what's on the blockchain to make sure that it matches up with this. Now, the fact that the devs have been so gracious in offering this up and been able to coordinate everything means that I can take my time, I can go through this. We don't have active trading going on, so we can get real peace of mind. So thank you everyone for your patience as I go through this. But I really want to make sure we get this secure. So, with this is going to be checking to see if that's the goal has been raised. It's going to exit out with saying that there's whatever the fuck is in that store 9. We'll have to figure out what the hell's in store 9. In store 9, it is going to be withdrawing to the address recipient with using the gas remaining. Yeah, so it's going to be keeping the way that it's kept to pay the gas transaction fee to do this, and the ARGs, or the tokens that are supposed to be sent out. So essentially, this is where it's going to be saying claim a refund, send in the token that you want to claim the refund on, does its basic check to see, okay, is this thing still live? How's it handled? Do we still have we reached our funding goal with the way? As in, we can actually afford the gas, for example. And then is digging through to say, alright, then we'll do our check to make sure that whatever the hell is in this store 9 that we'll be getting into is fine and works, as in it is set properly and valid. Then we've got the store 9 withdraw. So I'm predicting that this store 9 and the fact that it's an address is where funds for the pre-sale will go. And so that's where this thing looks like it's intended to sell the tokens, collect the funds in the contract itself, and then provide a way to transfer those funds to then continue on. So that is interesting and ballsy for putting the pre-sale in the code like this. I'm going to call out that we want to be very careful where this goes. This hopefully can be directed to like Unicrypt and take advantage of lock liquidity in Unicrypt, or we can transfer these over to like a multi-sig wallet. So that way, if I'm reading this correctly, like I said, the pre-sale, this is intended to do the normal pre-sale thing, where it sells the tokens, and in a 2-token model, this is essentially the round of funding. And the YEVO will be the governance token. So essentially, this is operating as just to not like freak out any securities exchange people, because we're technically not selling securities, because none of this has any claim on profits. This is akin to selling voting stock and getting a round of investing by selling voting stock directly. Now, in this, it will have the governance token that can be used to farm pools, so there can be a return on investment on this for people that get on the pre-sale. And I want to remind everyone, because I am auditing live, I will not be buying YEVO. Do not take that as lack of confidence. I have to stay independent. I cannot have any of the tokens or have any vested interest in how any of this goes through. So I appreciate that. Anyone that wants to offer this to me, please don't. Please never, ever, ever send me YEVO. I'll have to be keeping a list of all the things that I audit. But if anyone sends me YEVO, I will actually have to leave it up to you guys. Do I send it back to them, or do I liquidate it immediately and roll those over? That happened with YF Beta. Somebody sent me some. I appreciate that. Really, I do. But I can't have that in my wallet. It's not even good that I have the transaction there, because now my wallet and my reputation is now continually marked with having received YF Beta. And I now am in perpetuity, going forward, forever and ever and ever now. I appreciate what you're trying to do. I really do. But what I'm telling you guys, never ever send me the tokens that I'm auditing. Please, you cannot do that. Because the blockchain is immutable, because it is always changed, because it is now there in perpetuity. Now people have seen that I held YF Beta at some point. Hopefully it can be explained away as being a tiny amount that was liquidated immediately. But now on my record, there is a mark that I did receive YF Beta tokens. And I'm now going to have to spend the rest of my life explaining that. And we are now going to, I don't want to necessarily, I don't want to feel bad if you're the one that sent it to me. I love you, Beta boys. You're fantastic. Beta's new alpha. I appreciate it. You didn't realize what you were doing. I understand. But to be clear, this is now there, and I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life constantly dogged by somebody being able to point at, yeah, but he got paid off by YF Beta. Somebody tried to pull that with some FUD by saying, oh yeah, we saw a transaction where that wallet got paid YF Beta before and after he did his stream. And I just came right out and said, great, fantastic, show me the transaction logs. Pull it up. Let's do this. Let's get on a stream. You show me where I fucked up, where I got paid, and school me on how this works. They stopped responding at that point. I've been getting some other floodsters, and I'm pardon the break here, but it's kind of important that I say this. Actually, you know what, fuck it. I'll go through with this. I apologize. I'm getting derailed. So, back to audit. But again, please, do not send this to me when it goes live. I cannot receive this. I will never be able to receive this. I wish I had a way, I gotta dig into this, if I have a way to deny to ever receive this, to like refuse anyone from ever sending it to me. I'm pretty sure I do. I just have to figure that out. But yeah, please, never, ever, 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 ever send me tokens that I ever audit, please. I accept tips. The tips are, it should have the links. People can help get that out there. I'm willing to serve tips on anything else, but never the tokens that I audit. Anyway, so, like I said, this is operating akin to a voting stock sale, hence why it's entirely appropriate that the dev is going to be claiming some funds out of there. So they're going to be finalizing that it's possible to be claiming funds in a token address. It does definitely, though, look like this is actually merely going to be withdrawing to this recipient. So we'll have to dig into who the recipient gets sent to, because that's where I want to be clear here is the recipient, it looks like, is, because recipient is, Where the hell? You know what? I need to just do the search. Sorry. Okay, so in here, this is quite literally just from the Ethereum VM telling it. So when you issue the transaction, you're saying where you'd like this to go to. So this is basically saying, all right, claim refund. Here's the token to refund. And in that, it is looking in the message, the transaction that's sent in to see, okay, who's the recipient from this, for this thing. So essentially, there's going to be a method in the transaction to say who you want to send it to, and that'll take care of it. Okay. So that can be done. I will point out, though, that I don't see a check on ownership here. So, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Dev.
Coyote,
Yeah.
can you do a quick scan down? They want to be able to start their pre-sale when that timer ends. Can you do a quick scan down to see if there's anything that immediately stands out, looks nasty or anything, so that they can make
That's
sure
kind
they
of what
get
I'm.
that launch
Yeah,
in time.
certainly. Thank you very much for keeping me on task. I appreciate the heads up there. All right, so yes, doing a quick scan. We got a recipient. Not sure about this one. We'll have to check on exactly where that's coming from. There's not a check for ownership, so I'm a little concerned there. Might want to put an owner check in there to say that only the owner can call that, unless that's intended differently. Finalize, that shuts it down. Sorry, I'm going as fast as possible here. Crowd sale finalized, so this is why I really wanted more devs to help me out. Alright, so withdrawal tokens. Withdrawal tokens is for, they're sending an address, confirming that, doing some basic checks to see that it's not finalized, or that it is finalized, that it's, that's not finalized, that it is way raised, doing block and timestamp. Alright, so it's doing its check to see what's going through there. It's checking the balance of a particular address and running through. So as I'm understanding this and predicting it, it looks like technically there could be a withdrawal of this balance of appears to be the balance of the token. So this is looking like to say when this thing goes, the contract will receive the tokens, and then this is it kind of dispensing those out, if I'm understanding correctly. So that's what's going on here with the transfer there, so that's good. Fallback. And here's where we get to the horrible, god-awful reason I hate functional code. So I'm sorry, but this should go through. All right, fallback. Heading through. Running through here. Balance. User. Oh, God, this is why we don't do functional code. I love you, man, but this is why we don't do this anymore. Well, we kind of do, but anyway. Tokens purchased. All right, so it's logging that, so good. We're going to have an announcement on who bought what. It's going to be logged there. Revert with exit call. Revert with way raised. Doing your various checks. Revert. Tokens purchased. Logging appropriately. Purchaser as the address. Okay. Buy tokens. Beneficiary. Alright, so this is doing a basic check to make sure that the system's not trying to buy, that's happening at the right time. Alright, so this is you guys buying tokens, doing its various safety checks to make sure, do I have enough money? Are you actually doing the appropriate things? What is the value of what we're trying to work with? Runs through all of that, so seems safe enough. With Ray raised. Yeah, from the review of the code, I'm not seeing any serious bugs. So I apologize for my little meanders there and taking off. I would want to double check the withdraw tokens, if that's the point here, where this is the intention for you to be able to get your payday so you can go off and do the development. I would want to double check that recipient of that payday is going to the appropriate location. So right now I'm going to hesitantly say that the code is functional. I am honestly concerned that, one, the liquidity is going to have to be managed manually, and that it looks like this is paying out to a recipient as dictated. It's not hard-coded to go to the owner, so that can be defined, and thus it is possible, like, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just pointing out that, like, it is possible to send that out to Unicrypt, put in Uniswap, then send it to Unicrypt, all that stuff. But to be clear, I'd want to double check where some of this ownership is, because unfortunately, I don't see a lot of ownership confirmations, and thus the withdraw tokens part is, I'm very sketchy on that, in the sense that there doesn't seem to be a proper check here to make sure that the withdraw tokens, that the claim refund, again, you're checking for recipient, which is reasonable, but again, Dev, you can correct me if I'm wrong on the withdraw tokens here, but I'm rather concerned here, because it looks like this is withdrawing by putting in a wallet address. It looks like in doing that transfer, you are using this address, checking the balance of, to see if it equals 0. Remember correctly? Yeah. And then calling that, so you're basically just making sure, like, okay, first off, let's make sure that that's not 0. Okay, that they do actually have a balance, and then let's actually send that through to, and that's where it is saying transfer this token to, and where are you getting that to from? And again, I'm happy to hear in your chat and your DM, Dev. I got my eye on that. If you want to comment, if I'm wrong, please let me know if I'm wrong here. But I'm a little sketch that there doesn't seem to be a ownership control mechanism. On the other hand, a fair portion of that is getting defined up here in information. So if the thing is deployed properly and the proper things are put in place to begin with, then it can function. But I will throw out there that we're putting a lot of trust in the dev. I don't think it's unfounded, given the way they behaved. But you know what? Bernie Madoff was a very amiable guy, and he really made you think things were working properly. So, okay, cool. No. Let me correct you up there. All right, so by all means, I'm happy to claim it. So thank you for correcting me on this, because I was trying to expedite things. Thank you very much for correcting me. The functionality is to claim the ether back if the goal doesn't be met. That's what I was thinking was going on here, yes. Was that as a way to withdraw and do the claim refund. That's the claim refund if it's not met. To basically say, okay, this didn't go through, let's go ahead and claim that back. Can you clarify what's going on with the withdraw function then? Because this, as I was reading it, is how you're going to get that funding and be able to, like, put that into Uniswap and such to handle this. So yeah, okay. So that's where they can claim a refund if it's not met. Alright, so that's where I wasn't concerned so much with the claim refund, to be clear. So I apologize that I had that up there. Yes, this one was fine. So to be clear, I was a little concerned on this withdrawal tokens. So yes, on the claim refund, that is correct. This is doing that check because it's doing the things like, are we not finalized? If not, it's doing that check to see, did we meet our goal? If we didn't meet our goal, he wants to give you all your money back. So I like that. That's good. This person's being very, very forthright. They're saying, look, I've got a funding goal that I have to hit. If we don't hit that funding goal, you can have your money back. Yep, I agree entirely. That is correct. Thank you for bringing that up and clarifying. I wanted to talk about the withdraw tokens here, because as I'm reading this, it looks like it's withdraw tokens is passing the address. I'm presuming that this is how people are going to get their tokens, basically. This is the method by which they are paid out to people that have bought them. Yep, that's what I thought. So withdraw the funds from the contract. So yes, that's what I thought. So this is where you're getting your tokens from, and that's why I want to be very clear with the address that's being placed in here, and it was a little hard to read on what this token address is, only because it's not listed in here. This very clearly is a very reusable block of code in that you're using variables and therefore can set all of this. Hence, it was a little hard for me to figure out, well, which one are you talking about, which token, which address, and where. So, again, the code looks sound, the code looks safe in the sense that it will function as intended. We are taking a fair bit of trust in the devs here in getting this properly done right. but I don't see anywhere in here that they can pull any sort of exit scam. All right, doesn't look like there can be a scam. Doesn't look like there will be a bug in the code. It will function, as far as I can tell, as intended, and it has gone so far as to, if it doesn't reach its funding goal, to give everyone a refund. So that is also really ballsy. Like, this guy is really putting his... Oh, got a quick question here. Quick saying, thank you. So yeah, really ballsy here. If he doesn't hit his funding goal, he's willing to let people have their money back. So kudos to you, Dev. So yeah, overall, I would say go ahead and deploy. Thank you for clarifying, for clearing some of that up. I'm going to point out that part of the risks, as we've talked about, is that there's not a whole lot that's hard-coded in here. So, by all means, go ahead with your launch. I give you my tentative blessing to bring this forth into fruition. Go forth, forge it into the blockchain, write it in stone, in perpetuity, and we will then, once you post the contract address, we will come back and double-check and verify this against what's on the blockchain. And with that, hopefully this will make people some money. So yeah, go ahead and deploy, my buddy. I'm still sitting here waiting for that. Do not worry about do not worry about hurrying up. By all means, take your time. I appreciate your patience in letting me dig through this and my little rambles as I take care of things. I appreciate everyone's patience as I do that. And for everyone where the Discord messages are piling up, I'm sorry. I had work to do. As you saw, I was already distracted with, like, best buds chatting, and I really need to not do that. So, while I yammer as the deployment goes out, we can discuss a little bit about what the whole intent of this thing is. Because so far, while this thing's rolling out and we're getting ready, when the deployment goes, let me know. I think I got a nice, fun little idea here for us to have a nice little tradition if we ever get to do this again, as we can bless your contract going out. So, with you, I'm presuming that you are off doing the deployment here. If I have not got the confirmation with that, so pardon. Not sure. You get standoff that you have heard that I have given my blessing. I am content to then move to reviewing the bytecode, and I understand that when you put it out there, you are going to be setting that start time based on setting this opening time. So I will endeavor to make this follow-up audit as fast as possible to give you, so there's not that delay in the opening time. But I understand that when you deploy this, you're going to be setting that. You're going to be defining what the opening time actually is, so you can give us a little bit of lead time. So I appreciate you buying that in there so we can account for that, so you can get it out there and then give us a bit of time. So to be clear, this is what I was talking about. There is a governance mechanism, somewhat. Now, to be clear, no human has control of this. When I say governance, I mean it's a control mechanism to manage the contract. That when it's deployed, as they're going out now, there will be an opening and closing time. That is going to be set when the contract is launched. And so... Oh, excellent. Oh, you're very good. So, you said you deployed that. If you could help me out... No, I understand that it still needs to go. By all means, take your time. Get your ducks in a row. I understand entirely. Do your thing. Oh. Okay. Well then, boys. It looks like we have our contract. So, I'm about to pull that up. We now have a new launch. If you'll join me in blessing the launch of this contract. Uniswap, who art in the chain, hallowed be thy protocol. Thy market come, thy arbitrage be done, in law as it is in code. Give us this day our daily gains. Forgive us for ignoring the price impact, as we forgive those that ignore the price impact. And lead us not into shitcoins, but deliver us from impermanent loss. And with that, I have a fucking contract address, boys. Now it's real game on. Everything's been friendly till now, motherfuckers. Ha ha! I got live code. Now let's see if this guy has actually followed through. I think he has. I got no reason to think he hasn't. He's been honest, forthright. All the checks are properly in there to give us time. There's a start time and end time. He's even coded in a refund process if it doesn't hit the goal. So they're like, if this thing doesn't hit the funding goal, he doesn't get paid. So make sure everyone knows that, everybody. Okay? Go tell people in the code, this guy doesn't get paid at all if this thing does not reach the funding goal. Alright? Hold on. It's... Alright, to be clear. Alright, heads up. Be very clear. I told you there's a start time. Alright, so no one get too eager as it's launching out. I know some people might want to be trying to grab the contract there and point it out. That's why it's... I know it's on the screen. You want to get into it. I know you do. But bear with me here. This is not the contract. This is me reloading page, I believe. Let me double check that I got the right one here. Yes, that should... Oh, yes, that is it. Sorry, I did load it. All right, so in this case, there are no matching entries. There are no transactions. Wait 5 minutes. So that was 5 minutes from when it went out. Let's go ahead and see the internal transactions. Okay, 5 minutes. All right, looks like the 5-minute mark has passed. If Dev can confirm that that is an accurate measure of what they set that point to, we will start digging into it. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the transaction hash. We've got a wallet address, so congratulations, boys. We know where this came from. We may not... Oh, I am decompiling the code right here. Here's that decompiled code, buddy. Thank you for bringing it up. Yes, I love a dev that says, pull my fucking code. So, alright, here we go. We've got the code here. Holy shit. Alright, so, built out properly, got to find... We've got things written... We've got what I'm used to seeing here. Fantastic. Oh, God. So this is where I was talking about, where we get our functions, our objects, everything. A lot of the time when I look at source code, this stuff is already in there. So let me tear through this and verify, because as far as I can tell, no, it has not passed yet. We're at the 5. All right, so this thing, to be clear, do not do your transactions. I have been saying there can be giant fucking problems if you try to execute a transaction. So wait for the high sign. I'm tearing through this as fast as possible. All right, we got safe math. That's doing its work. We've got basic solidity code, ERC20. All right, all of this is pretty standard from the system and framework. Good job bringing in roles. All right, roles are included and working properly. Do not worry too much about the usage of the word minter. Check out the other two. Yes, I understand. Down here is... Yep, we got some of the minters, and... I'm sorry, but where are you referring to the... Yes, below this code. Yes, you're right. I'm having to lay out to everyone to be clear here of like, all right, we've got decent code, everything's laid out here, this is all reasonable. Don't worry that it says minter. That is fine. It's okay. All right, thank you. Here we are to constructor. Here is what is actually happening. Here is some of the behavior that's going on. And here is where that is coming out. So, pardon, this is the part where you're talking about? Oh, no, not there. Do you want to give me a line number? If there's something you specifically want me to point out, I'm happy to go to the line number, by all means. Oh, the other two, which was decompiled below. Oh, down here. Yes, you're right. Thank you. I was not quite getting to that. So, down here is where we're getting into the EVM bytecode. So, yes, thank you for pointing that out there. Yes, that was just the setup and the layout of how things are defined. Here is where the code actually is. This is what was actually deployed. Everything that I was just looking at was the basic setup and running with the Ethereum system. From here, again, calling out, don't worry that this says minter. That is fine. There's a minting, like, you're having to create tokens at some point when this thing launches, right? So, let me know if I'm wrong there with the decompiled bytecode that I'm bringing up here. And I apologize that Etherscan does not give me a good view here. I think it'll be better if I bring that up in an actual proper text editor that will make this not a tiny fucking like slit of a view that I have to. God damn it! I need to get a new mouse. What do you do? What do you do when you're a poor, broke, animated doge online trying to audit code for tips because you're too fucking weird to have a normal job? Alright, so all I did was copy the code out of here into something that is more reasonable, and that is where glancing through this. Okay, so again, there are going to be things in here that you see, like mint. Don't worry, the mint is fine. It is normal to have a minting operation. It's making clear that essentially tokens have to get created at some point, and making use of a minter operation is good. That is safe. So don't worry when you see mint in there. From here, where it's digging through and it's saying unknown, again, don't worry. This is simply because of where it was written and how it gets constructed and decompiled and such. Little artifacts that show up in how the code actually is set up. So from here, yeah, scrolling through real quick from what I saw before, yeah, it looks like this has compiled out a fair bit. Yeah, it is doing a fair portion of its job as basic code. All the necessary parts have been built up around it. And over here, in pulling up this stuff, this is where all of these things that it was defining, like, see here, we've got our storage, we've got the various things that it was putting together. Part of this has been set up by the Ethereum system itself in deploying this. But yeah, interesting that we've got the minter. I need to double check how the minter is working here. So like I said, the minter doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad, but we've got to make sure how the minter is working. Let's see. Alright, so storage, balance of, allowance, total supply, symbol, okay. So far so good. Is asking if a address is minter, or confirming here. I am a bit ahead of that. Like, I'm sorry if I'm getting the wrong one here and you want me to look somewhere else, but this is what we should be looking at here at this point. And so this is where I was saying is that I'll just cut and paste. I'll copy and paste that out of here into here to show that. So this is the stuff that we were seeing before where they're doing the transfer from. It's inserted the safe math and various things for building that out and working with that. And is logging that the minter is removed. So that's good. That means that, God, that is stating that mint address 2, where is minter being called? Because again, wait, what? You're giving me a different address. Hold on. What the fuck are we looking at? Because that's what I'm kind of curious about. Did you give me the wrong contract address? Hold up, boys. That's why I've been a little confused here. Okay, then what the fuck was the previous contract address? That's why I've been trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with this one and why we have the minter. Okay, so then why the fuck did you send me the previous contract address? Jesus. I'm sorry, was that the transaction hash for sending it out? Okay, because that makes sense then, and that explains why there was all the minter there. Okay, I apologize for the confusion there. God damn it, man. What is this one? This is a generic smart contract. Okay, cool. So it looks like you gave me the Urine Evolve token. Cool. I do need that. But what's this other address you got? Why did you send me a second address? Okay, yeah, that's the YEVO token. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. Got it. All right, so a little confusion there. We were looking at the YEVO token. The YEVO token is sound. Thank you for clarifying. So yes, we were looking at the YEVO token. That's why I was calling out that the minter is fine. This is part of the creation process of the token. And that's why I was wondering, like, where the hell is all the logic that you coded out here? Got it. thank you very much for clarifying. So, we have confirmed, yes, YEVO token out, live, functional, and it is operating as intended, and it's a dumb token. It's not intelligent in any way, so there's no shenanigans we can pull there. Now we're digging into the actual pre-sale smart contract, and thank you very much for clarifying what I was looking at, and I thank you for being patient as I was a little like, what the hell am I looking at, and why is this, where's the intelligence, where's the pre-sale in this fucking token? I don't even see a way to send you money with this thing. So awesome, neat. So okay, that is where they will be sending money to this one here. Already see, holy shit, man, boys, you jumped on that. Okay, well, I gotta jump in here, gotta double check this. Alright then, so gotta do this fucking fast. There's the contract source code a bit as it's laid out. And wait, did I not do the search properly? I'm sorry, what happened here? Search for the right address. Yeah, that's the 2E. Alright, cool. So, getting down to where... here we go. Decompile the byte code. Give me that. Alright, decompile the byte code. This is the first time for the contract request. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Alright, so, this is going to run for a little bit. We have what it has worked out as the source code that has been uploaded. But to be clear here, is this is actually part of what gets translated and uploaded in. And so this is where, to be honest, this is where a lot of developers put their logic and stuff. This guy's put it further down in there. But yeah, we're going through there. So yes, we have, let me confirm that we now have this. Can we get our bytecode by reloading? Are you done yet? And can I refresh? Aha! Here we go. Fantastic. Beautiful. Now we have the live contract code actually verified, and we can compare that to what we have in GitHub. I apologize. I really should have a proper diff tool ready. I did not consider that this was, I did not realize this was the structure. I did not realize that we were going to be going through doing a review of the bytecode the code in GitHub and then looking at this. Otherwise I would have a diff tool ready to do the comparison for us. And I really should. But, yeah. Oh my god, we're done. We're done, boys. So I can tell you right now, looking through this, yes, this is the same code that was launched. It does look to be sound. And from here, we've got a successful launch and completed in 42 seconds, boys. So, from when I started rambling bullshit, like, how long has this been going? A while ago, we have gone from a code review to a successful launch to a closed pre-sale. And I want to check the transaction time and what has gone on here. Let me double check on when were you deployed. Oh wait, sorry, internal transactions. When you were sent out. Yeah, I'm... Oh, there we are. The events will be a better place. Wow. Wow. So, yeah, boys. We're successful. I want to double check the times. I wonder if this might be a DeFi world record. I wonder if this might not be a financial world record. Like, does anybody know? Have we ever had something like this in the world close out this fast? Yeah, so fast. I'm sorry, guys. Like, whew, man. That was lovely. That was exciting. I hope people that are able to get on the pre-sale, everyone that got it and was primed and ready to go, congratulations. Someone bought it all? Hold on, let me double check here. Because I've got the YEVO contract pulled up here. I've got a... Alright, so for holders, there are, looks like, oh, wow, okay. We've got two main holders. And to be clear, from the address graph and the token graph, let's do a little bit of post-mortem on this launch and see what happened, boys. All right, so to be clear, we have the minter that sent this out. So to be clear, this contract here, this is our dev. Oh, sorry, no, this is not our dev. This is the dev that sent out the mint and launched that out. So sorry, this is the contract that created it and launched it out. Here's our token. This is our dev. I apologize for misreading that. I'm a little too eager. So yeah, this is the create contract, transfer minter role, and this is the smart contract. So this is the dev pushing out YEVO. And if we look at where the actual code was here, and I double check that, yes, that is the one I'm looking at over here. Oh, damn it. I pulled the wrong one. Apologize. I'm starting to lose track of what the fuck I'm doing. I'm getting too goddamn old for this game. Guys, really, help me make Audit DAO a reality so I can just fucking retire and make sure you guys can continue on trading, because I'm getting too goddamn old for this. So, yeah, that's where, to be clear, this is fine. It's going into that wallet. That's perfectly normal because we saw our transfers go around. This is the token graph of how that got dispensed. So were we really only selling 2,000s of these things? I hadn't checked the total supply yet. Were there really only 2,000 YEVO? Well, it went over 85 transactions. So, wow. What the hell happened here? All right, so let me confirm. We've got our token here. To be clear, that's the Evolve token. And over here, we have the... Is that right? Yeah, that's the contract that was handling the pre-sale. So we can do a little bit of a post-mortem here on what the heck was going on. So, right here is the contract that was doing the sale. Right here is where we have the Evolve token. For the Evolve token, handled by the system, looks like there was an amount paid out in one transaction over here, and then one that went to the smart contract. So let's see, and here, this one is a wallet, 3BF1, and if we check the... Oh, God. All right, so that's the urine one. If we check the address graph... I'm not saying there's shenanigans, boys. I'm just doing a post-mortem to learn out what happened here. I just want to be very clear here. I don't think anything bad happened. I'm not trying to find a... Like, everything seems to have gone perfectly fine. I'm just analyzing the post-mortem because this is exciting and fun and interesting, and I'm kind of curious what happened. But so far, I'm not saying there's any issue, right? Be clear. I don't want anyone thinking that my digging around in here like I have before, I'm trying to find some big nefarious scheme. Alright, so again, this is where we have our token here. This is where from... Yeah, let me go ahead and bring up the address graph and the token graph. From the token graph, we'll have the holders, and we'll have the trades, and then we'll get the address statistics and the address graph. Alright, cool. And from that, we can see that when this went out, there was a bunch transferred to this, which when I double check what that is, you are a generic smart contract. You are different from the smart contract handling the sale. So you have no ETH, you have YEVO. and you have 2,239.49 YEVO, and that was completed over, looks like 86 transactions. So there was a whole flurry of transactions. Goodness. This was running through pretty fucking quick on handling that. So, yeah. Wow. But these were all the ones coming out from the system. So I want to be clear here is this launch went out. It minted out a bunch as far as coming from the system. It went to this address here, which is a generic smart contract. So what the fuck is this? And this one had the contract creation called. And so you don't seem to match up to anything that existed previously. You were not anywhere in code. You were not anywhere in review. So let's go ahead and see here of that 6-1. Yeah, that's the same one as what is over here, this 6-1. So they're the same one. So the system dispensed the YEVO here. Then the YEVO, here's the various holders of the token. Looks like a fair portion went to the smart contract. Looks like a fair portion went to this thing. And this thing is if I double check here, it's a wallet address 3BF1. And I check the contract creation by pulling up the transaction log there. And yep, here we are. We can, wow. Alright, so this is, now mind you, don't worry, this is like all the various things that have happened. But essentially, this is the transaction log from creating the contract. They had to send some Ethereum as part of getting that done because it always costs money to do things. It came from this address, so the 3BF1, and it's creating the smart contract. Okay, so where we see in, where was the holders? So yeah, that one looks like the dev got about a little under a third, roughly. So that's basically the dev right there in getting a portion of this when it was launched. And I hope that was in the diagram, in the statement there. This is why I'm always saying, boys, like, don't necessarily buy on something until you get the full analysis of the deployment and how that went out. I'm trying to do this by giving you the audits. I know it may, like, you really want to jump on that and it's tasty, but we need to double check the logs, and I'll try to keep my rambling short then. So yeah, dev got some. The rest went out to the smart contract that handled the pre-sale. That seems reasonable. The smart contract then getting them, and that's this thing that should have handled that sale. So if I double check to be absolutely sure, the 3B61, yep, that's... Alright, so what are you? What the fuck are you? I did open that properly, right? 039, 039. We've got this thing. 505 tokens from 1,111 will be burned. Okay, cool. So the marketing team gets 55 tokens. Alright, that seems like a reasonable dispersal. I agree. That's okay. Thank you for being very forthright and coming up front on how this is being dispersed and who's getting paid what. Thank you. So I'm digging through this. So that makes sense as to what this other contract is and why it was holding YEVO, why it was getting YEVO in some of those amounts. Alright, so that's that does make a bit of sense in that the dev was getting a portion, then this was getting deployed out to a smart contract that is a different address than 3BF1. Alright, so, yep, that's there. Let me clean this up a little bit, because I got too many fucking tabs open and I'm losing track of what the fuck I'm looking at. I apologize. Oh, there's a lot going on. Alright, so over here, that got sent over to... this one holds a bulk of that. This is what's complaining... supply will keep increasing. Alright, so marketing team gets 555 tokens. The supply will keep increasing to 7,777, the dev is saying in messages. Alright, so looks like the marketing team could be turning a profit there. Cool. But again, I'm looking at the token graph. So we've got that case here. We've got it. We are looking at the holders of the token. In the holders of the token, let me refresh to see how that's gone out. But yeah, holders of the token is showing that this is mostly held by the contract. Can anyone confirm for me that they have their YEVO from the sale? Someone could call that out. Anyone? Anyone know if we've had an actual, like, any people get this? Because so far this contract looks like it snapped up everything. To be honest, what the hell is this, and why does it have so many fucking tokens? And why did it execute 70 or 87 transactions to accumulate them? And alright, so again, this is part of that minting process. So to be clear, it was selling out and reaching a limit supply. So effectively, it was kind of minting as people bought until it reached a limit, and then it's reached that limit. So to be clear, don't worry too much that it's normally transfers from our creation process. Not too big of a deal, because that's processing through. And it looks like this, in digging through the transaction hash from what was happening here, I'll just work off the top one. This is where we had that system. So the system sent some YEVO over here to this smart contract, and then through here alright, so this is our pre-sale contract, and the pre-sale contract, which we're looking at over here, would call out to mint tokens. So basically, they were starting off with no set supply. They're minting tokens as they're going along with the sale. This is where I was saying that it seemed to be safe in the sense that it's going to run up to its end, and therefore just stop, and it did that. So I want to be clear here that we're not like running out of supply or anything, and this thing has reached its end, it's finalized. So to be clear, the pre-sale contract cannot create any more tokens. So I want to say that now. That from everything I can tell, it looks like the pre-sale contract cannot create any more tokens, alright? So peace of mind there. All it was doing was using the minting operation to create and send out those tokens. Interesting take on handling a pre-sale where you didn't have a supply set initially and you were creating them as that went out, but I actually see some merit in that, because that means that you don't have a way as the dev to pull any shenanigans, and like we saw in some of the previous scams that we uncovered, create any phantom tokens, because no tokens are created at the time of the launch. The tokens are minted through the pre-sale process, and because the dev had no control over the pre-sale process, then they had no way other than anyone else buying tokens, apart from the very first allotment that was doled out to the dev team to go to the marketing team as part of the creation. Nobody had any way. So This looks very, very weird and sketch, and I apologize that it does, but that is quite literally what happened, is that they did not start with initial supply. They made sure that there was no way that they could hide any token ownership in there. They let the minting process create tokens as they were purchased and let that reach a stop at a certain point. Say, okay, we reached our funding goal. We're done. We're not minting anymore. And so it does have a set supply in the sense that there is now nothing else out there, as far as I can tell, that can mint more tokens. So the supply is set right now, which is interesting because that would have had an odd effect if the sale had not gone through. It had not finalized. We didn't reach the goal in time, because that would have meant that, to be honest, you guys would have had a token of indeterminate quantity, as in, like, it didn't have an initial set supply. So that's really interesting here. I'd want to get into some guys with the economics of what might happen there. Like, again, pardon, I'm just doing the post-mortem here to analyze. I'd really be interested in getting to the economics of what might have happened if we hadn't reached the funding goal, but there were still tokens, because they had been minted as part of the pre-sale. Interestingly enough, I think this dev might have hit on a very novel pre-sale method that, in a weird way, if I'm interpreting this correctly, and this is why I wanted other auditors involved to be able to say things. Oh, liquidity is in Uniswap. Fantastic. So thank you very much. I don't know, can I call out your name? I wasn't sure if you wanted to be called out there. But to be clear, we did have work in the audit war room where they have confirmed that the liquidity has been deposited into Uniswap for the pool. We think we're digging in initially. So, all right. So yeah, that's where it happened there. So effectively, where that then went is... why are you not using the... There we go. Now it's right-clicking. Thank you. This is that generic smart contract. It has a deposit operation and a bunch of Ethereum. And this basically just holds a bunch of goddamn Ethereum. So this looks to be where the proceeds of the pre-sale went, which is reasonably enough. And yeah, that would be the process where in this deposit operation, it was, yeah, sending out. So again, I'm not saying there's no scam. I want to be very clear here, so we're not like trying to investigate a scam. Everything went, as far as I can tell, entirely perfectly. I appreciate, I don't know, dude, in the audit war room, do you want me to call you out? I don't know if you want your name out there since you're just in there, but thank you very much for helping and going through this. But yeah, as far as we can tell, it looks like everything went through. We had a successful transaction. It sent the, like, all the appropriate amounts out to where it should be, and we should have our liquidity in Uniswap. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and go take a look at the Uniswap info. Uniswap.info. And let's do a quick check on... Why are you not doing it? God damn it, I know my internet works. Why are you being such a horrible thing? Okay, there you go. Thank you. Alright, so, can I just paste in a... Yeah, no, you never like that, do you? I hate you, Uniswap.info. Why can't I put in a fucking address? Jesus. Honestly, Uniswap.info, why? Alright, let me go look at the token, see if we can find something there, and see what we can find here. YEVO! We've got nothing there. Alright, will you accept a wallet address? Or a token address? No, you don't accept a contract address. I hate you, Uniswap.info. You're kind of fucking useless. Swear, honestly, do better. Yeah. Overall, the receiver of that, this smart contract that received them, I need to go dig in here and see what the hell this is, but you know what? Bloxy is never terribly informative on that. So let's see if we've got any information here on where that went and what is going on here. Internal transactions 39 minutes ago, contract creation. So, wow. All right, and again, this is not. What the fuck is this? Like, it just spammed out and finished. This isn't the pre-sale contract. This isn't the dev, because this is a smart contract. This is... What the fuck even are you? You got created 39 minutes ago from here. So that's the 972EE. That's the 972EE. Alright, so, aha! This is what I was finding in the dispersal of the liquidity. Okay, so that's where I was working out in the logic there and saying that it seemed like the dispersal was going through. We've effectively had the transactions, reverted, transaction reverted. So there's been a lot of errors here for whatever the fuck this thing was doing. But it definitely looks like this thing, and if we go down to the actual decompiled bytecode of what happened here, is we have a different contract that... Yeah, this is a completely different contract. What the fuck are you? And how did that work? So... that went in here. We had... I'm not hearing a whole lot. We still have people sending 3 minutes ago. Wow. Yelled looks to be even more sketch. Well, thank you. Oh, currently it's at $279. Wow. Alright, so... heads up, guys, where can I find a fucking listing on this? Because you saw me looking in Uniswap info, and I was doing a terrible job. Anyone got a heads up in here on a good place to find the listing for this thing? Search Yeld on CoinGecko. Are you... Wait, this isn't Yeld, this is YEVO. I don't know why you're telling me to look at Yeld. Fuck Yeld. I don't give a shit about Yeld. Why are you saying Yeld? You still don't have tokens. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Alright, so, nobody has tokens. What the fuck has been going on here? It sold out, it transferred out, it went through, and they all got dispersed to this fucking thing that got them, and in getting that, it... Alright, so this is the point here. This is why I'm telling everyone, at the time that I'm interacting with this, please, please, please wait for me to go through all the bytecode and confirm, because I'm very sorry, it very much looks like this... There's another contract here that dispersed that out, and all the tokens went to this address. So, what the fuck are you, and how did you get all the tokens? So again, I understand people wanted to pressure me, and you gotta give me time. Like, I'm sorry. I need time to dig through this and go through it all. So, this is why we need to go through the bytecode itself and look through the deployment. This is why I'm taking time to go through how everything is built up. This is why I want to analyze this going through and hazard people to warrant sending things in. Don't have your tokens or Etherscan. I understand you don't have it. I understand. I was telling you that it looks like we need to look at the bytecode. I was telling everyone to wait until the send in, until we did the bytecode analysis, that it did look to be the same, and we're going through and handling most of that, but in these cases... it is where, digging through it, it appears that in trying to send that out, they're in this wonky fucking code. Somewhere in that process, they were properly minting it out and sending it out, but in that beneficiary, they got to define what the beneficiary was. And so that's where I was saying the buying token for the beneficiary. So buy tokens, that's someone sending in money. So I'm going through here to be clear that we've got beneficiary is people buying tokens. That's the one that is you guys buying stuff. That is where we are seeing here that it can't be the address. We're making sure that they have a balance of here and things. So I understand people are pressuring me to try to reach that deadline. I really wanted to, but again, you gotta make sure that people have time to get through this, and I was going through that. So that's where I was saying we've got our beneficiary, we've got our amount. There wasn't an exit scam here because in running through all of this, we didn't have the creation of a contract here. We didn't have that initial deployment, and the beneficiary is the one that's supposed to be receiving this, but it looks like, honestly, the interaction with the smart contract, when we see the ether that this thing received and held onto, that came from 88 transactions that went over 200 went for 200 and so received 280 and it sent 280, and in doing that it looks like it sent it all to that same address as part of an internal transaction, and in doing that is where we've got our ether somewhat deposited in here. So wait, it went over here to the AA3, and so we've got a bunch of transaction hashes here where that was continuing. So digging into one of the transaction hashes here, what? That's a smart contract. Sorry, we are wanting to take a look at the transaction. Why are you still loading? Load, please. Alright, so here, we go load the transaction hash over here, and we've got our transaction here of what was happening, and in doing that, money came in to here, the pre-sale. It went over here to mint it from YEVO, and then placed it here in this smart contract. And where the fuck did this smart contract come from? Because looking through the code, they were supposed to be doling this out to the beneficiary, and did not. Had a check on the reentry guard, had a check on the call here, had a check on the minting. Like, that's my point. In digging through here, I was warning people very much that we were going to have to dig through all the transactions, and we're going to have to look at everything digging through. And even though this matched up, I did not say that it was good. I just said that it matched, but that I did warn people that we need to double check what variables have been passed in here to confirm, to be clear. Alright? So, to be very clear here, is that I was calling out, we need to double check what these variables were when they were sent in. We need to make sure that all of this is being set properly, because I was calling out, we got a wallet address here, that I was worried about that. And I was hesitant, and I was pointing out that, okay, this is something that we're going to have to double check where it's coming from, and because there's nothing actually hard-coded in here, we're going to have to check the transactions. So I was still digging through the transactions, and the sales closed, so I hope that was good, but I want to be clear here. People jumped on this and started buying while I was still doing my triage and analysis of the bytecode and the transactions. So it happened in 42 seconds. I want to be very clear here. I was still going through that. All I had said was that it matched what was in GitLab or in GitHub, but I still needed to dig through the deployment, the variables that were set at deployment, how all of that was behaving. So, I understand that you like me, that you trust me, and you honestly, but I want to make it clear that just because I say code is the same, I did call out we need to double check these variables. We need to make sure what the fuck is behind here. So, to be clear, I did not give my high sign. I said it matched, but I did say we've got problems. We need to double check our transactions. I was still going through the transactions where yeah, whatever, man. Don't stop spamming yelled. Fuck you guys. I was saying that we needed to check that, so I was checking it. So for everyone that jumped on and was very eager to buy, I understand wanting to miss out on the FOMO. I understand that having this time delay, basically a sense of urgency, is really something that salesmen use to try to push things through. And I always remind people, you know what? If you miss out on one, you still got your bag, and you can continue on to play again. If you bet the house on something and it turns out to go bust, you're fucked. And so that's where I was calling out that we're going to need to make sure in deployment and checking the variables here, what is that set to? Where are these tokens dispersed to? Who owns these things? And I was still going through that. I was still working out on who got these tokens, where were they sent to, and so this is why I tell everyone, wait for the off-the-chain audit. I understand you want to get in on the sales early. I'm hearing people say they didn't get their tokens. I'm not sure I entirely believe that, because there's a lot of FUD going around here, so let's be clear. But in my initial post-mortem here, I am seeing that, yeah, from the description here of the two contracts, we have, yep, our 2 points, we get that, we got ours. There is our contract, double checking things to be absolutely sure that I'm matching up to the right ones, because I want to be positive here. But yeah, here's that smart contract that was handling the sale. The sale was receiving Ethereum, and it was sending the Ethereum out. It was minting YEVO as part of the sale. It's an interesting technique. I wasn't saying it was necessarily bad. Minting's not necessarily bad, but we have to be careful here. And in doing the transaction, and when we look at the actual smart contract here, again, we have our creation, we have our transfer ownership, we have the owner, all right? We've got our address graph of the relationship between this smart contract and everyone else. We have YEVO over here. I really wish, for fuck's sake, that Bloxy would fix this. This is garbage. I really wish it was better. We've got a variety of contracts here that we're interacting with it, and this is the big one. Alright, so this is where everyone was sending Ether in, and then this is the one where it went out. So I understand everyone wanted to jump in, but I was still in the middle of my post-mortem. I was still in the middle of my audit. I want to make clear there, guys, just because it's live, just because I might say, okay, the code matches, let me continue, I'm not done. Like, I make a very clear announcement when I say I think it's good. And I understand the FOMO and everything, but I was not done with my audit when everyone jumped in. I did not say that it was good. I said the deployed code matched, and we still need to dig into the history and confirm what happened here. So, yeah, everything, as the deposit was here, all the Ether was transferred over here as part of that. There's part of it looked like in the creation there was a contract creation and transfer of ownership. So I'm going to start here with where the Ether went. So again, this is where I'm warning everyone, like, please understand, you need to wait for the audit to finish. Just don't let the FOMO kill you, okay? I'm serious. We had our Ether come here. We had the deposit creation. So let me see. Let me see here. 00E. Okay, so this thing received a bunch of money, and there it is. And if I pull this up in Explorer, Jesus Christ, come on guys, we've got so many fucking sites. Can we get some consolidation here or something? Can you guys start learning from each other? Okay, so this is basically holding, this is an address holding 280 ETH. That's it. Alright, Etherscan, what the fuck are you? And where the hell did the YEVO go? Well, YEVO went to the smart contract, so we'll come back to that. Alright, so... Jesus, what the fuck occurred here? I mean, I got a rough beat on what's occurring here, but this is insane. Yeah, it sent it all over there, and here is Etherscan, that address. Internally, it had a bunch of transactions for things, but it's holding the Ether, so, the Ether's sitting over here in this contract. What the fuck is going on here? What are you? Alright, let's see if we got you yet. Do we have you yet? Alright, so, this was something that received the Ether, was receiving deposits and beneficiary, fallback, has a close, has enable refunds, has beneficiary withdrawal, has... So... What the fuck are you, and why do you have all the Ether from this sale? And it says in the description, okay, so, hey, Crypto Star, I see your message there. Can you help me out? Can you send me your transaction hash? To be clear, I want to be clear, like, if you guys jumped in on this shit while I was still doing my analysis, I apologize that the FOMO caught you, but I'm still digging through and figuring out what the postmortem here and where everything went. But, yeah, if you got a transaction hash where it says that you got YEVO, then please send it over, let me know, so I can have that. But otherwise, what we're dealing with here is, it looks like while I was still doing my audit, people let the FOMO get to them. They dumped in, and we now have a bunch of goddamn ETH over in this contract here, that is holding on to that, whatever the fuck this thing is, and wherever it came from. And Jesus, so god damn, that's a lot of money. And so where did, god damn it. Alright, so let's go figure out what the hell's going on with our token again. God damn it. Alright, so plugging you, well, I'm gonna hold on to you. Again, boys, that's what I say, don't let the FOMO get you. While the analysis is still being done, don't let the FOMO fucking get you. Alright, so that was our this is our token here, correct. And what do we have for our internal transactions? We have the contract creation, and we have this little bit of ETH for running things through. In the analytics of what Etherscan can give us, we've got nothing because you're garbage. Thank you. All right, so heading back over to Bloxy to see where some of that might have gone. In here, again, that went out to... Yeah, in running that went out to the address here as part of that. This thing is a smart contract running that, and that is not the one that we were told was the pre-sale contract. Okay. So... Again, so this one has all the YEVO that was supposedly sold. Alright, so I apologize to anyone that might have thought me saying that code matched means it was good. I recall, please check me, boys. I was saying we gotta check the logs, we gotta check the behavior, we gotta check what's going on. And it looks like the FOMO hit, people sent in money, and in the distribution, they're part of this. They handle the deployment such that, as I was digging through to confirm that yes, the code technically matches, but let's make sure all of these variables match up and they're set correctly by looking through the logs and confirming what has actually gone out. I was still in the process of running through this and confirming these various transactions and what was going on here. And it looks like in the process of doing that, everyone jumped in on the sale to try to buy it so they didn't suffer the FOMO. And that's where we were digging through and determining what was going on. So, hold on. Let's see. Got over DM. Sorry, dude. Listen up. The campaign was set to run for 12 hours, and the tokens are locked till that. Alright, so we got the dev, and we're talking about what's happening. Okay, we have communication from the dev. Thank you. Let's see. So finally got over with the DM. Sorry, dude. Listen up. Campaign was set to run for 12 hours, and the tokens are locked till that. Aha! This explains what I was seeing in that contract where it was listing the beneficiary. All right, boys. Thank you. This is what I was identifying, that it didn't seem to be a way for the contract to get out, and that is what I'm in the middle of checking out. So thank you for bringing me the heads up. That is what I've been digging through to find out, like, what the fuck do you have, and why do you have all this information about where, like, who bought what, as if you're trying to keep an audit log of who paid in. And so that's what's happening, is that this launch, so again, we're going through the post-mortem here. I want everyone to calm down for a moment. We're still going through this and analyzing, but from digging through the code here, it appears that and it's still going through to find all the variables, boys, so that's my point here. It appears that, as I was saying, this thing is set to have an end time. It is set to run until that point, until it either hits the goal or it has an end. It has a disbursement at that end, and that was stated in the tokenomics, I believe, and that is where it was laid out. So, currently, this stuff is sitting here in this contract that if we take a look at, and Dev, Jesus Christ, man, you give people a fucking heart attack, like, make it clear where these things are going and what the hell's going on here so that we can keep abreast of what's happening and we don't get freaked the fuck out like this. Jesus. But, alright, fine, I typed in the wrong thing. Thank you. My fat fingers. But in dealing with the Etherscan and going to that code and actually pulling up the contract, this explains what I was saying that I was seeing before, where it was keeping track of the beneficiary and was keeping track of sending things out. and where it has a store, it looks like, of some of that information. And so digging through here, if I'm correct, yep, from getting, yep, I understand. I thank you for calling it out. Thank you for reminding me to say that. Is that this makes sense in a pre-sale in the sense that you finish the pre-sale and you ensure that no one is going to get an unfair advantage by running over to Uniswap to be able to sell. So basically, they're in escrow. Essentially, this is effectively the code version of escrow, waiting for. No, I understand. You're busy with a lot of DMs. I get it. A lot's going on, but we effectively have your tokens now in escrow. They are waiting for the pre-sale time to end. Now, this is where
Hey,
I
Coyote,
will.
check your DMs real quick. Hawk was messaging me, asked me to have you check your DMs.
Hoth.
Hawk, one
Uh,
of the devs,
one of the devs. Which one?
probably on Telegram.
Oh, on Telegram. Yes. This is why Telegram is garbage. You're talking about Elliot, right? Where he's messaging me? Yes. That's where I'm reading off the messages. Correct me if I'm wrong here, if I'm missing something. But yes, that's where he was saying that in checking the DMs, what he's describing here is that as part of this disbursement, they're in escrow effectively waiting for the timed pre-sale to end, because it has an end date, or an end time, and when it reaches that end, it will then disperse out to everyone. And that does seem to be the case here when digging through, because this has essentially an operation where it's going to accept a address, and in accepting that address, it is, yeah, keeping track of that, and as far as the transfer, it is passing through. So again, I'm going to have to dig in to make sure this is running properly, but it looks like part of this was the extra contract that is handling the escrow, essentially, for the tokens. And that is where I'm digging through to confirm, boys. Like, I don't want to, like, say yay or nay. I understand. But that is where, yeah, looking through the events and the analytics, it seems that, yeah, this is where it was expanded, and where, yeah, I am surmising from the structure here and how the events were shown with the address. Alright, so what transaction hash are you? Alright, so yeah, you were basically the operation, just sending some stuff in. Alright, fine. We're dealing with you. We're cool. Alright, so, yeah, in here, yeah, this looks to be like the escrow contract that is basically receiving them as they're bought. Is waiting for the pre-sale timer to end, and then it's been keeping track of. I'm tentatively saying that this little boy over here has been keeping track of who's been buying, and that's why we're taking our pains to dig through. It's the AA3. We're looking at. Let me double check here that we're looking at the right one. AA3. Here's our AA3. Here is our ether scan of AA3 that receives the money. And as far as the YEVO token, that was getting sent out. I swear to God. There we go. Now you're a little more readable. It's still a terrible design here. Yeah, so that's where in that minting and creation, it was managing them here, depositing the ether over here, in tracking that token address itself, which I remember correctly was this one. Is that correct? Yes, that one. Then I'm just double checking my work here to be absolutely sure, because I want to be positive that I've from what I've found, this is the case. So I was double checking my work. As I do this, I am tentatively saying that things have gone according to plan, and what we have learned is that devs need to be very, 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 very clear in their deployment plan and exactly what software architecture they're using to manage these things, so we don't have these sort of freakouts. And I'm still digging in to be absolutely sure, but since this thing received all the YEVO, and since this thing does appear to be holding on to that YEVO and that it has only received it, and if I go to Etherscan and pull up what we have for the bytecode of where the YEVO went, what we have in the decompilation of the bytecode is that point of where it is storing a address. The address is, it's got this annoying unknown name, but that's just kind of because of how they're structured here. It's accepting the parameter of the address. It's making sure that the primary address is not the caller. Alright, so to be clear here, it looks like we're going to dig into the parameters to see exactly what primary address was set to, but it definitely seems that this primary address, here, let me go and see if I can engage with this contract. Where is my normal read-write contract operation? Jesus, why do you not have that here? Alright, so normally I gotta read-write contract here. But yeah, this is where, and to be clear here, I want to lay out what we're seeing here. This was not a, it wasn't a big giant dump here where they just like, oh, here, I'll just put all the tokens over here. They were doled out as people were buying in. And from looking through the code, it definitely appears that, yes, this is a matter where I'm very tentatively, and this is why I was welcoming other auditors to come help me out, but yes, it looks like this is acting as the escrow. It looks like this is keeping track of everyone that buys and the amount that they bought, and then is waiting for the timer to run out on the pre-sale contract. And when that finishes, the pre-sale contract will then use its remaining assets, hence why we appear to have that contract over there that's holding on to some money. So kind of over there, but some has been left to be able to handle some of the transaction costs. And that is where it is then sending out, it's executing that transfer and sending that out to the address with that value. So I'm pretty confident in saying that we had a bit of a roller coaster ride in trying to figure out where this went. I really would have appreciated the heads up from the dev that there was a third contract that was going to be acting as this escrow method so that we could have avoided some of this confusion and whatnot. And so it appears that they introduced an escrow control mechanism here to prevent people, and this is actually kind of considerate, like we're going to have to wait in time for this to time out and play out and to absolutely confirm. And I'm sorry, I can't stay awake for 12 fucking hours, but 12 hours from when this happened is what the dev said. And so 12 hours from now is when we should be able to see the dispersals. So I will confirm from when that happened. Where did we get that? Can we get a time on when that should happen, roughly? So we had this go out and launch and handle on, because I'm getting a commitment here that I want to put my money where my goddamn mouth is, that I am reading this through and saying that this is merely an escrow system, that you should be getting your tokens once the timer runs out, because it appears that this extra escrow portion has been holding on to things and has been running through. Oh man, I got other people saying they missed out on a good chance. I hope that's the case. Yep. Thank you very much, sir, for commenting. Give me a ping if you'd like me to actually say things. Yeah, I know. Pretty weird that they gave it a .sol, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you're watching there, sir. But yeah, it looks like it's Viper, not Solidity. You're correct. This was not Solidity code. This was something else. This was Viper. This is more of a method of functionally programming in Ethereum than it is object-oriented programming. Solidity gives us object-oriented. Anyway, I'm getting into details here that I really don't need to. So yeah, it initially looks like this thing has an escrow function. It is holding on to funds with the expectation that they would go at the end of the pre-sale. Nobody was expecting the pre-sale to go this fucking fast, so we're all going to have to be patient and kind of wait out that occurring. In here, when we check the smart contract for the pre-sale, because that's the one controlling this, let me see when that went out, when that actually launched, because I'm going to commit to being back here at the end of this timer to put my money where my mouth is and see, does anyone get, do we get their tokens back? Now, I'm generally predicting that they should, but in, yeah, running that out and sending out that it went into, yeah, just generally went into the escrow. So a bit of a roller coaster, fucking heart attack, Jesus. Dev, give us a heads up when you're gonna do shit like this. But yeah, it's initially looking like the Ether is sitting in, yeah, there's the YEVO. And interestingly enough, to confirm this, it looks like technically, to be clear here, from sitting here, the dev hasn't even gotten paid yet. So I want to lay that out here, is that the contract that got the pre-sales, they went over here to some other place with the Ether. That got dispensed out to this smart contract here. And what is going on here is this thing is holding on to the Ether. Okay, so I'm digging through and I'm tentatively saying, again, I gotta really assert, guys, like, wait until I do the end and I do my big giant, oh, everything's good, I bless the trades. I'm now just doing a post-mortem because you didn't give me time to go through and dig through it all before people bought. But yeah, it's looking like there is a effectively double blind escrow on this, or double escrow, I should say, where your tokens that you purchased are sitting in effectively an escrow smart contract, waiting for the pre-sale to end to disperse those out to you, keeping track of your wallets so that it can send those to you. And then the dev over here has a contract that has escrowed their payment, the Ethereum that they've earned from this, in a completely separate contract. And it also looks like that they don't get to pull anything out of here until the pre-sale ends. So basically, all of this is now waiting for about 12 fucking hours from now, when everyone gets their tokens and you find out whether or not I'm completely full of shit. Whew, man. That was exciting. God damn it. But yeah, I'm going to tell this, like, no, this is not a scam. No, you've not been fucked over. I will want to return back here at 12 hours. That is where I'm digging into the pre-sale contract now to confirm the contract creation time. And we will be back at that time to again put my money where my mouth is. Have I gotten this somewhat correct? Where, aha! I see kind of a genius here. All right, so in doing that, looks like sender address, there is some usage of chi, cute, and use of gas tokens, also cute. But really what I'm looking for is when were you created? And you were created at 2006 UTC. So, doing my terrible time zone math that I am oh so atrocious at. Let's call it Central Time, because that I think is fair for a lot of the people watching and whatnot. Alright, so this thing went out at 3:06 p.m. today, Central Time in the US. That means that 12 hours from now, 3 a.m. Central Time, all this escrow should unlock, and everyone should get their tokens, and the dev should finally get paid. But that's where I want to offer the peace of mind here that the money that has been paid has not gone to anyone. No one has your ether. You don't have your YEVO, dev doesn't have your ether. All of this looks to be locked up in effectively a time-locked escrow or double escrow system where your YEVO has been deposited into a contract that is keeping track of your wallets and the balance that you have due to you. They are waiting for the time to run out. Your ether has been deposited as you brought that in to another escrow contract that is holding on to these funds and waiting to dole those out to the developer when the pre-sale ends. Therefore, I will definitely be back at 3 a.m. I'm going to start my stream at like 2:30 a.m. Central Time. It's going to be one of those fucking days, isn't it? But we will come back here, and in doing that, we will see if everyone gets their tokens. I'm predicting everything should be fine. From looking at the code, like I said, it looks like this is just a double escrow system where the developer has not been paid yet, even though you haven't been paid yet. I know it's annoying and frustrating, but to kind of analyze the postmortem of what's been going on here, this is a case where it actually can work out to be beneficial because you have your tokens, and those tokens are locked away in escrow for a variety of people. So nobody has anything at this point. And at that moment, so it's at the 12 hours when this is done, or at least the stated time that it's done, so at about 3 a.m. Central Time on Thursday, tomorrow on the 10th, then all of this should unlock. The developer should get their payday, all of you should get your YEVO, and then all of you are in a mad dash to make it to the exchanges to start trading this thing. So, anyone that's doubting me, anyone that has any suspicion on my quality, anyone that was wondering why I seem to be fumbling around and figuring it out, it was just complicated, had to dig through. The dev did not give me the heads up on this escrow process. I will say to any dev that want to coordinate with me in the future, please be very, very clear what your deployment process is so we can avoid these sort of confusions. But digging through this, yeah, it definitely appears that all of your funds are safely stashed away in an escrow contract waiting to be dispersed out to the dev when the pre-sale ends. All of your tokens, your YEVO tokens, are locked away in a separate escrow contract, both of these controlled by the pre-sale contract, waiting for the pre-sale timer to end for you to then get your tokens, which this can actually work out to be good economically speaking, because as I said, now no one has that extra edge. There was no opportunity here for a whale to come in, dump, buy a bunch of them, and then immediately run to an exchange, especially if they used a transaction scripter to run that through. So, I understand if people are hesitant. I understand if you've lost some faith in me, and you really want to see this play out. I get it. But I'm really saying here that it looks like 3 a.m. Central Time tomorrow, we should see this thing unlock. Everyone should see their tokens in their wallets. And in doing so, you then should have that mad dash to the exchange. So I would say be ready, get up at like 2 a.m. tomorrow and get yourself ready. Be ready for that. Maybe 2:30 at the worst, 2:45. I will be back and starting to stream at before that. So I'll be back at 2:30 a.m. tomorrow to be here to put my money where my mouth is on whether or not this thing's actually going to unlock. Reading through the code, it looks like it should. It was written very differently, more functional, and I'm very intrigued by the implementation of this escrowing process that was running through that. I was noticing in there, as we said, that we need to double check what these values will be and how this is going to happen. So that's where I was still going through the point of figuring out what were these values set to as that was occurring, and where was that being sent to, and how are they set. And so we were in the process of catching this escrow process and realizing that was in place because, again, most of that wasn't set until it was deployed. But yeah, it looks like we gotta wait until 3 a.m. tomorrow, basically, to confirm. But I am reading this out, and I'm really jeopardizing a lot of my reputation, and this might very well be the end of my fucking channel if I do turn out to be wrong. But from everything I can see, they did a fair, equitable trade. They handled a double escrow, so they haven't even gotten paid yet. They will get paid at the same moment you get paid. And then tomorrow, 3 a.m., there should be a mad dash to the exchanges to handle that. So, with that, any other devs, anyone else that wants to jump in and assist in triage and analyze, I'm happy to help out. But otherwise, I will say it looks like we're good. A little bit of a heart attack. Jesus fucking Christ, Dev. Tell me that you're going to be doing this stuff as the heads up so I know what to look for and I'm not trying to dig through and find that. Two, I understand everyone wants to rush these things and you're wanting me to like hurry along. Unless you want me to sit here and work in silence, not talking to you people or just muttering to myself, it does take time to get through all of this. This is why I'm very, very adamant that we have to check things on the blockchain to confirm, because in digging through this, we can find out what those variables are. Like, just to be clear here, we have information from the contract creation. Like here, it's created the contract, it's handling this, it's handling the minter, and again, this is a system thing, so it's okay. But in setting all of that up, we can start digging through and seeing what some of those arguments are and what some of that was. Everyone jumped on this, and I had not gotten to digging into exactly what was going on here. But see there, that's where the ownership was transferred to the pre-sale contract and transferred there. And if we go into the pre-sale contract and dig down to the contract creation, now here we get to the transfer ownership one, but we get to the contract creation. And to be clear, the ownership of the pre-sale contract, oh sorry, this was it receiving ownership of YEVO, I believe. Yes. And so here in, yeah, so wait, why do you keep bringing me back? Why, Bloxy, oh, sorry, that's right. I'm getting mixed up and forgetting that it opens Windows all the way at the end. Ugh. Sorry. Sorry, I'm losing track of things. But yeah, in the creation here, that's where we mark the owner as the smart contract here, and then that's where this is our pre-sale. And as we go through and we look at the contract creation here, we can see in the argument, we can see how that was set up, where that was done, how this thing, yeah, in running through that and running here and in handling the contract creation, aha, that's where we go. So this is where we see the log of that happening, that being created, and how that's being handled. So again, fucking heart attack. That's also why it seems very weird here that when this was launched out and handled, that there is... Yeah, that's coming from the system here, and you... Why do you keep throwing me 0? I'm right-clicking on the dude. Give me this. Okay, there we are. And so this one is... This is a regular wallet address, so as the dev has said, these are getting allotted out to the team for things. So the dev has not gotten the Ether, but there is a wallet here that does have the some YEVO in it. And that has been identified as part of the logic of the pre-sale here of what is being doled out. So I will need to dig into what is behind this wallet and what is going on here. I would not be surprised to find out if this is a... Aha! Ownership transfer. What do we have going on here? We have... Yeah, this is it, transferring the ownership around for YEVO itself so that it would be able to mint tokens, transferring them over to other contracts so they'd be able to handle it, and handing the minter over so that these people would not be able to mint tokens. So to be clear here, so that they would not be able to mint tokens and that it would go to a new minter. This is also them issuing out to that new owner. So this is where they're handing that over to the smart contract. So, okay, this is part of the rollout for there, and in the process of doing that, yep, removed the minter, added it, removed it, because that happened as planned as part of the pre-sale finishing, to say, alright, we're done, we're not going to be making any more tokens, finished with that. And so, yeah, the minter was there, so on. Yeah, the only thing was that, as you see here, it was transferring over some initially points there, made the main point here of transferring ownership to our smart contract here. So again, as I look here, regular wallet address that got them. Then as I look over here where we had our primary transferred and our recipient, these are the different contracts that received these ones. Yep, these are the ones that received the Ether, and then these are the ones that received the YEVO. So, yep. Alright, it was, as I was reading through and analyzing, I am pretty sure in this process that, yes, as it went out, a little bit of a fucking heart attack, goddammit, but in here, they created their own double escrow process. Not terribly thrilled that the initial YEVO for the team was not in escrow. But maybe that's in a multi-sig wallet and we can manage it from there. But from there, yeah, like I said, looks like everything's in place. Dev, I don't know if you can sell those fucking tokens. I'm gonna dig in to see what's behind that wallet and see if we can figure out if it's multi-sig. But basically, this comes down to you gave everyone a fucking heart attack with this. Jesus, man. Otherwise, that is where it looks like we are primed. We'll be back at 2:30 a.m. Central Time to work out. So that'll be 2:30 a.m. Central Time. That'll be 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and would end up being 12:30, so just after midnight Pacific Time. So just after midnight Pacific Time, 2:30 a.m. Eastern or Central Time, and 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be back here to put my money where my mouth is to confirm that this is played out. Devs, be clearer in exactly how you're going to be handling your sale and how the distribution is going to be occurring. Where, if you're using things like a smart contract escrow system to handle that, please let us know. If you're doing that, like, be very, very clear in that. If you're doing that, please make sure that you escrow the team's allotment of tokens. We understand you want to get paid. It's okay, generally, most of the time, but just yours. I'm presuming the way this is structured and the fact that it's holding on to a bunch of stuff here, that this is very likely a multi-sig wallet. Yeah, and it's the one that it launched it from, because it created a contract and it created the other accompanying contracts. So we will have to check out here, and to confirm, the only thing this thing has ever sent out, so we're looking at it live, the only thing this wallet has ever sent out is this little bit of ether that was used to, look like, create this contract. So it's still sitting on YEVO. It is not moved. I would ask the dev, whoever's in control of this wallet, and however that's being managed, and you know what? This is where I'm just gonna... We're gonna call that YEVO dev. I don't know if that gets saved. I don't know if that's just mine. I don't know if that's Bloxy in general. But I'm tagging this one as YEVO dev. Hopefully that gets saved and shared elsewhere. I'm still digging in and learning about Bloxy. But yeah, I'm saying we're good. I understand. 550 YEVO has been burned. I get that. And that's cool. And that is where in digging through this, he has given me a ether scan to confirm that the 550 YEVO has been burned, I believe. So let me dig in there and confirm that's what we're seeing. So, yep, burn address 550. So, to be clear here, this is a good sign that, as promised, the dev has burned 550 YEVO as previously stated. And right now, there is a total supply of 3,351 YEVO. And that is all locked away in escrow. So again, I've been gamering on, been saying it multiple times for anyone. Heart attack, Jesus Christ, man. I was really fucking worried that I'd missed something. But yeah, you built in the escrow system, and we're creating as part of that. It did look like that was part of the process. And so I was still digging through the audit to confirm that that was what was going on in the right code and was happening there, and that the variables had all been set properly for this. You sold out in 42 seconds while I was still going through my audit. So, alright, boys. And yeah, it looks like we are waiting for the escrow to unlock, and that is a time lock. So yeah, one, I will say, devs, please be very, very, very clear on what your deployment is. If you're doing stuff like this, make sure that's going to happen. Make sure that we understand what those contract addresses are. Would have been good to have a heads up on these, or at least be aware to be looking for that specifically, and not digging through the code to figure out where that's going on. Two, I understand people want to get me to hurry up and hit the deadline. I'm sorry. You're going to have to wait. Alright, I will work on keeping the rambling to the point. I'll be fuck everyone else's personal life, and we'll get through this. But you do have to give me time to get through all of the code and be absolutely sure. They did a quick scan, it did seem to be okay, but we've been able to figure most of this out. Mind you, a lot of what was happening here is that this was not directly being handled in the pre-sale contract itself. It was being handled as variables that are set when the contract is deployed. And so the code itself was indicating that they would be transferred to these balances and that these arguments would be passed in, but that is why, again, we can't just go off code in GitHub. We can't just go off decompiled code. We really need to dig through the transactions. We need to dig through what has happened, how this thing is built, so we know exactly what's happened, so that we can be sure that all of this that gets created is playing out as planned. So, I'll wrap it up here. I'll be back again to put my money where my mouth is at 12:30 I'm doing that math right. Yeah, so 12:30 a.m. tomorrow Pacific time, 2:30 a.m. Central time, and 3:30 a.m. Eastern time. If any of you want to join me then, I'll be back. You can either praise me or damn me. I'm going to welcome any tips, but on this one, because we got 12 hours to wait, I'm not going to pitch for them. I'm not going to solicit for them. I understand. Let's wait until this actually plays out like I'm predicting it will. And thus, we can see each other again after, well, first thing tomorrow morning. Set your alarm clocks, boys. If this unlocks at the appropriate time as expected, and we're digging through, then you guys can get your tokens and you can rush off to the races. This also explains why there are only 3 others holding tokens. Dev, if you want to be fully forthright and honest, don't do fucking anything with those tokens in that wallet, alright? The wallet that got that YEVO that's holding on to it, that is this guy right here that I've tagged as Devo. I don't know if this saves it permanently or whatever, but maybe it does. Maybe it's other people. You guys can go look it up and see if it's there. But yeah, we'll be watching this. I don't know if this is multi-sig. We'll have to dig into that later. We all got shit to do and determine, but if you want to be absolutely sure that you're, like, nobody's freaking out and that you got no FUD building up around this, or anybody saying horrible things about us, don't fucking touch this goddamn wallet until the escrow unlocks, alright? Nothing. Nobody moves anything out of here, okay? This sits here. That's where I'm going to drop this link here in the... Jesus Christ. I had a bunch of people. Alright, so I'll drop this here. I will drop it into... Jesus Christ, you guys have so many fucking ones. Where do you have all of that? Here, we're going to swap public. You guys can keep a track of that one here. And keep an eye on this wallet. Keep an eye here. Dev, to help yourself out and help everyone else out. Don't fucking touch this if you can until the pre-sale escrow unlocks. Alright? Otherwise, pleasure. I'm not going to solicit for donations yet because we've got a 12-hour delay to see if I'm even right, to know if we got any value out of this. And thank you very much. Pardon as I don't take questions right now. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I need a bit of a break. Alright? Thank you. And I will see you at first thing tomorrow morning, well,